I want you to first keep an eye on this Ohio State game. Didn't talk about it a whole lot the other night. Indiana is playing host to Ohio State. Buckeyes are coming off the bye. The line on this game right now is 21. Buckeyes minus 21. Since the Oregon game, which in all likelihood, unless you are an Ohio State fan, is the last time you watched Ohio State play, they have beaten in order Tulsa 41-20, Akron 59-7, Rutgers 52-13, and Maryland 66-17. Notice they have not given up more than 20 points. And I can't off the top of my head recollect if any of those were defensive in nature, but they have not given up as a team more than 20 points. And so you've got one of two ways you can look at this right now. Either all of the early season and really latter 2020 issues in the secondary, it's all been rectified, or to a large degree it's been rectified, or maybe they haven't faced a team that could throw the ball on them, and maybe the problems are still there, or it could be somewhere in between. They did make some staff changes too. The reason I'm excited about this game is because we had a chance to find out. Indiana's not a team that has any business beating Ohio State outright, but I will tell you, this game's going to be in the Ramen Noodle Express later, because it's a game I think the line's too big on. The model has this thing at about Ohio State minus 17.5. And so we are certainly going to move on Indiana. I'll go ahead and tell you now, Indiana plus 21 is one of our best bets of the week. Indiana, what we're waiting on is sort of the inverse of Iowa. Think about Iowa. You watched them all year, and you watched them be plus turnover battle all year, special teams points all year. And inevitably, there was coming a Saturday when they were just going to be even. I didn't know they were going to be minus 2 or 3 in a turnover game. I just wanted to see what happened when they didn't win the turnover battle decisively. Well, not only did they not win it against Purdue, they lost it, and they lost a game 24-7. Well, Indiana is the total opposite. Indiana has been victimized by turnovers, and they have a lot to do with that, admittedly. They have been victimized by turnovers every game. Now, that doesn't mean that we can go back in time once they fix things and we can take away the losses. The losses are there, but what it does is it undervalues Indiana right now. You know how random turnovers are. There is coming a game where Indiana just plays it even. They don't turn the ball over. Or, what if this happened? What if Indiana was +1 or +2 turnovers? What I think Saturday is going to include a healthy dose of. I'm going to roll the dice on Indiana not turning the ball over 3 or 4 times. But if that happens, I think there are going to be enough points scored and enough plays to be made against the Ohio State secondary by Indiana that if they're not constantly turning it over down inside the red zone, I think they're going to be able to hang within that 3-touchdown margin at least. So keep an eye on that, because if I'm wrong and Ohio State puts up another one of these like 41-16 or 52-13 scores, Buckeyes are going to be something to deal with. They will be anyway. I'm just very excited to see if they have it inside themselves to cover this 21. Notice in that entire preview, I didn't even mention last year. I couldn't care less that Indiana played them close last year. That has nothing to do with my logic on that game. Illinois is at Penn State. Penn State is laying 23. What I am focused on here is not so much the outcome of this game. In fact, our model loves Penn State. Obviously, I'm a little hesitant because you don't know what you have with Sean Clifford. That's what we're watching. That's what we're going to learn. These two teams, not Illinois and Penn State, but Penn State and Ohio State, they play each other a week from Saturday. And so everyone's wondering, in State College and beyond, what is the status of Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford? He had to exit the Iowa game. They had a bye week at the perfect time. Couldn't have drawn it up any better, given the circumstances. And now they come out of the bye week, but in practice this week, whereas the Penn State beat up there really didn't expect to be able to see anything, Sean Clifford was out there taking reps with the ones, and he was going through drills. I was reading over on Lions 24/7, the practice reports over there. They were kind of surprised that they were allowed to see what they saw. And then James Franklin, in his press availability up there, when asked, is this the first time he's thrown all week, he said, nope. Huge information. I know that's just one word, but that's huge information. So I want to see Sean Clifford Saturday. I want to see how limited he is. I mean, I would be stunned if he was out there slinging the ball around 35 or 40 times, but how limited is he? And then can we gauge from Penn State's performance Saturday the level that we can expect him to play at as a quarterback, which is going to be obviously pivotal to their chances of pulling the upset next week in the Horseshoe. Tennessee's at Alabama. This is the game I'm going to be at. Now, Bama is laying 25. It's a 7 o'clock game on ESPN. Tennessee defense, one of the worst assignments you can draw, having been on the field 101 plays just last week. But that's where they are right now. Now, Bama's defense, all of a sudden, presumably, could have turned a corner a little bit last week. They gave up 9. They have really handled Mike Leach, has Nick Saban and his defensive staff the last few years. But if they're hitting a stride, it's really all I want to focus on in this game. If they're hitting a stride, then they will start very fast here because it has all the ingredients of a fast start. You got a potential opponent whose defense is coming in gassed and coming in with very, very questionable legs underneath them. And then you've got your offense with the ability, especially if you call plays the right way, and if you don't, Nick Saban will call timeout and call it for you, to sort of bludgeon your opponent a little bit. Normally that takes a four-quarter game in order to manifest itself in the result on the scoreboard. This one, I think if that's the case and they start fast, I think you see it in the first half. So much so that I was looking at the first half number. And the first half line on this is Bama minus 14. Boy, I'd love 13.5. I don't think we're going to get it, but I'd love 13.5. I laid a little on Bama minus 14 first half. Not an official, just letting you know where I went there. Very interested to see what kind of start Alabama has there. What about this Oregon-UCLA game? We already talked about this one earlier this week a little bit. It's the first time all year, maybe even including that Ohio State game. It's the first time all year where I think there is a decided, at least on paper, a decided matchup advantage on the line of scrimmage against Oregon. Because UCLA's got it. Run defense has been very good. I think it's top 10 nationally right now. And UCLA's running the ball. I mean, they've been running it 200 plus every week for like a month now. And if that's the case, I know you're looking at this line and you're saying, ooh, Oregon, I can get 1 point, I can get 2 points with them. Our model thinks the number's right. Our model has UCLA at about 2.5 or 3. Man, I'm just looking at those and I'm wondering, here's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering where the advantage comes for Oregon, because where you want it to come from is quarterback. But that would require the guy who the home fans were booing just last week to really rise up on the road. Now, I am not some believer that Anthony Brown's a bum and you can just cast him aside and they can't do anything with him. But what I am saying is without a run game, when UCLA can kind of gear up and know that they can probably stop the run with standard personnel and not have to dedicate extra guys to the box, can Anthony Brown still win that game for you? That's probably the way it's going to have to happen for Oregon. And when you've also got the other side in UCLA, ability to extend drives, ability to stay on the field, move the chains, grind you and grind the clock, that's Oregon football. They play the style that Mario Cristobal wants to play. So that one's going to be interesting to watch. And the last one I wanted to retouch on is Clemson at Pitt. Pitt's still a 3 to a 3.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. Caesars has it at 3.5 right now. It's a 3:30 game. It's in the middle of the afternoon. I was doing Mark Ryan's show earlier today, and he asked me, how many points do you think Clemson would need, just kind of a minimum? Let's just set the minimum baseline. How many points do they need to have a shot to win this? I said 25. And the reason I got to that number so quick is because Pitt is averaging 48 per game. If I figured that you just cut them in half, they're at 24. And that's a minimum. I think Pitt's getting to 24. I can't promise you they're getting over it. I think they will get to 24. So 25 was a starting point for me. I don't care how you score the points, but I think 25 is the minimum for Clemson. So here's the problem. You Clemson fans, close your ears for a second. You already know these stats anyway. They are 114th in the country, are the Clemson Tigers, in points per game. Just told you, Pitt scores 48 per game. They have no problem. So how many going to be needed? I think 25 is the number you have to get to have a shot to win this game if you're Clemson. Pitt has a 2-game lead in their division right now. Pitt is in phenomenal position to make the ACC championship game. But I'm going to talk about something for about 45 seconds here that I don't talk about hardly at all, unless Devontae Smith is in the room, and that is the Heisman Trophy. We don't talk Heisman a whole lot here. We'll probably get someone to sponsor it, and we'll talk about it a little more someday down the road, but we don't do it right now. But I just have a question for you. I hear every single playoff ranking show, I hear every single December, every single January, every single year that comes around, there is a group of college football fans that express the same sort of sentiment, and that is we are tired of the select few. We're tired of Bama or Ohio State or Clemson. We're tired of the same teams running away with things. We want parity. That's what we want. We want more teams in the mix. We want a hazier playoff picture. We want several more teams in the equation, kind of like you have this year. Hashtag Renaissance season. Well, that's all well and good. I know why you guys feel like that, but my question is this. Why do you want the opposite with the Heisman race? Right now, you have no clue who the front runner is. Even Vegas doesn't know. I mean, they've got Bryce Young in this thing. Kenny Pickett for Pitt is in this thing, who I was about to mention. Certainly, you got C.J. Stroud. Matt Corral. Here's how muddy the water is right now. Caleb Williams has played like 6 quarters. There are people, I heard Herb Street last week say, I think he's going to be in New York City. No one has the slightest clue where the Heisman race is, and yet I'm being told it's boring. I'm being told, oh man, this kind of sucks because no one's running away with it. No one's had their Heisman moment. Two most overrated words in the college football dictionary, by the way, Heisman moment. Don't care, don't care, don't care. Those are my two words towards those two words. You've got all the parity that you can say grace over in the Heisman race right now. Why is it not front and center? It's not front and center on this show because I don't particularly care about it all that much. But most of you do care about it, which stands to reason I should be talking about it more. But most of the other shows out there care about it. I don't get why some of you, not the ones watching this show, we're talking more about the casuals out there. Why can't the casuals just make up their mind? You got parity. You got parity here. Enjoy it.